This is Oren, and I want to talk about the Oscar nominations that just happened this morning. I think it was a really good year, and it was a really interesting year because it was kind of a weak year for American movies. I think a lot of films like Armageddon Time or Pinocchio, a lot of the great films, maybe Empire of Light, just did not have enough clout to really dominate the pop culture or critical sphere. So as a result, a lot of foreign films like Everywhere All at Once, RRR, Triangle of Sadness, a lot of blockbusters like Avatar, and I know I pronounced that incorrectly, and the other one is Top Gun, made room for the conversation because I just think it was a weak year. Last year we had so many films. You also had House of Gucci, The Last Duel, Tick Tick Boom, Parallel Mothers, The Last Daughter, The World's Worst Woman, Titan, Hand of God, the one about Princess Di, The Card Counter, Eyes of Tammy Faye, The Green Knight. You had you had so many films that were on top of the 10 that were nominated, where you could have probably picked a totally different lineup of 10 or 15 films, and it wouldn't have seemed out of place. And this film, there was just a big strangulation. I also think that this was a year in which the need to honor diversity, I felt like, was more authentic. It wasn't like I think they really honored the best. I'm not going to agree with every choice they make. I think Banshees of Inisherin is a pretty stupid movie. It's about two psychologically messed up characters who really just need to go to therapy rather than be stars of an entire movie. And I think that, I don't necessarily think Elvis is Baz Luhrmann's strongest film, and I don't think Austin Butler might even be that deserving if it wasn't for the fact that he sang Elvis's songs. And I think it is largely just simply going along with the trend dating back to Ray, Walk the Line, most recently Bohemian Rhapsody, of honoring biopic films. But I simply think that but there was a lot of great things going on. I think Triangle of Sadness, as I previously mentioned, is an excellent and decisive cutting of class, plus a wonderfully kind of a strange film that really borrows from a number of great literary tropes and sources. I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once on an airplane, so I didn't get the full experience, but that's also somewhat of a unique movie. I was a little disappointed that RRR, which would have been a humongous crossover from a film industry, the Indian film industry that produces more films than we do, to get a film to nominate for Oscar. True, we did have Slumdog Millionaire win one year, but again, there was also a lot of foreign influence, as well as with All Quiet on the Western Front, the German adaptation of the novel that won the 1930 Best Picture. All Quiet on the Western Front is probably going to win the best foreign film. The best foreign film, while the best animated film will likely be going now to Pinocchio, which is just a humongous break from, we had, if I'm not mistaken, we had a stretch where the winners for best animated film was Incredibles 3, or Incredibles 2, Toy Story 4, and then you had Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Those are sequel upon the 9th Spider-Man film ever to hit screens, or something like that. It was nothing. And again, Pinocchio was a reboot of a timeless classic tradition. It's somewhere in the realm of all the King Arthur or Robin Hood films we see, where it's sort of something within our mythos that can be reinvented. But Guillermo del Toro had an extremely unique take on it, and he is probably in line to win another Oscar, this time as an animated film. And there are many directors, such as Gore Verbinski of the Pirates franchise, who was able to win an Oscar for Rango. So a lot of times live-action directors can make their mark on that category. I would probably compare this win with maybe Inside Out and Rango as some of the best wins in this category. We also have Top Gun, which did not get a nomination for Tom Cruise for Best Actor, but honestly, was Tom Cruise really doing much acting? I would say no. I think that Tom Cruise acts a lot in films like Collateral or Last Samurai, but I think he very much compartmentalizes it. There are films where Tom Hanks is going to really act, and there are films where he is simply going to be an action star in service of a movie. I don't think anyone in the Top Gun ensemble really acted in any sort of traditional sense that would like make Laurence Olivier proud. I think it was more Top Gun was. So I don't mind that he got snubbed. I think what was incredible is that Top Gun got nomination for Best Screenplay, and it also got a nomination for Best Picture, which I think if you told us at the beginning of the year that Top Gun was going to get named Best Picture by the National Board of Review, and it was going to win Best Picture, and it was going to get nominated, that's an incredible achievement for a franchise film of which the last installment was in 1986. Top Gun, it's a film that had its heartstrings. It's a film that I believe worked through the sentiment, and the sentiment was all based on nostalgic sentiment. The beats are somewhat familiar, the redemption story, it trended pretty heavily treaded rather heavily in 80s cliches, but that doesn't mean that it didn't execute those beats extremely well. I think my favorite thing about Top Gun, is it knew when to push back and when to imbue a little bit extra sentiment throughout the pacing. I also noticed that Lady Gaga got another Oscar nomination for Best Song, so she's definitely a multi-hyphenate now that she's getting nominated for Best Song, which she has done before, as well as Best Actress. I don't understand for the life of me why I Ain't Worried by One Republic isn't the song that they're pushing for the most, since that was the biggest Billboard hit that came from a movie this year, and I think that does weaken the Best Song category. We also have Ana de Armas getting nominated for Blonde. I actually am against that nomination, although I do think that is a very great actress, but I think the movie didn't work largely on the strength of Ana de Armas. Ana de Armas's character not threatening a very thin tightrope. The screenplay is it's a very torture porn kind of film, and the screenplay is very, it goes from tragic to tragic exploitation, and I think like Andrea Day's performance that I like better in United States vs. Billie Holiday, Ana de Armas just was like a goth, morbid girl in the disguise of a Hollywood bombshell. And it's an interpretation, but I think it sort of dampened the movie. I also am somewhat pleased that Dead Year of Till didn't get nominated, only because that film is sort of also, I think, along the lines of torture porn, and if you needed a minority, Ana de Armas filled that in for you. And Michelle Yeoh is probably going to win the category. Andrea Riseborough is really quite the story that I think everyone really can get behind. Everyone from Charlize Theron to Gwyneth Paltrow to Ed Norton to Kate Winslet to Kate Blanchett to Amy Adams to all kinds of people started tweeting and doing everything in support of her. It's like, and is she the most beloved actress in Hollywood? She's a great character actress. I loved her in Black Mirror. I loved her last year in Electric Life of Louis K. Wayne. I liked her this year in Amsterdam. But I think the thing that really captivated the hearts of moviegoers, other than the success of her movie and the type of role that's really interesting about a lottery winner, is that the film couldn't afford to air one single ad. So Hollywood took it upon themselves to level the playing field, and the reward is amazing. I have seen The Whale, so I know that Brendan Fraser is something else in it. It's amazing to think that someone who was in The Mummy and George of the Jungle is at this position, and I probably have that bias of I don't know if I should give George of the Jungle an Oscar if I was a voter. It's very odd. I also think that when it comes to the supporting races, I probably think that Brendan Gleeson has a stronger filmography, and I'd like to see him rewarded. And I don't think neither he nor Ki Wong Kwan really give a performance that I feel comfortable saying Oscar winner next to, which I believe those two are the front runners now that Paul Dano was tragically snubbed. But Ki Wong Kwan, who I loved in, Temple of Doom, I don't think he's that strong in Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'd feel comfortable giving the award to Michelle Yeoh, but I think a lot of it is that Ki Wong Kwan, and I gotta look this up how to pronounce his name, and I do apologize, is such a welcome and media presence and a media darling on the talk show circuit. His story is amazing. He's so full of life that you kind of want to award him, but I think that's not necessarily what the awards are about. At the same time, I think Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson play up this bromance that on the award circuit they're also media darlings. It's also interesting, Brian Tyree Henry is an actor from, I believe, either Juilliard or NYU, and he's really had a great career. I certainly don't think it's any sort of tokenism that he's where he is. What's interesting is that he is really good friends and has collaborated creatively with the wife of Paul Dano, Zoe Kazan, also the granddaughter of 3-time Oscar winner director Elia Kazan, and she is and so I don't know if Paul Dano's like, oh man, I got snubbed by the Oscar, or if he's like, well, one of the best friends and creative partners of my wife got nominated in my place. I think what's also tragic is that Paul Dano, if you're going to nominate Heath Ledger for the Riddler, Paul Dano, I would not have been too surprised to see him in there, although he had less screen time, and I think the Batman movie wasn't as strong on characterization showcases as the Christopher Nolan. I felt like Christopher Nolan did a great job of world building, and when you have better world building, it's easier for characters to get in. Lastly, I am super happy for Ruben Östlund. He's a Swedish director to get nominated for Triangle of Sadness. I did not think he would do it. But this is a man who has won the Palme d'Or twice for The Square and for Triangle of Sadness. And usually, I think the Palme d'Or doesn't necessarily mean as much to American voters. The Palme d'Or, for those who don't know, is the Cannes film industry. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe.